You know, I was out and about in the City of Angels last night, and I saw Jinky the fruit bat drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's. His hair was perfect. You know, from the gridiron to the fairway, my next guest offers a vitriolic view of Sportswriter's venue, author of such hits as Semi-Tough. Is it semi? Semi? He'll tell me. Baja, Oklahoma. Is it Baja? Beja? And You Gotta Play Hurt. It's Hurt. Dan Jenkins, folks. Dan Jenkins. Now, tell me, is it semi or semi? I never even knew.
Show's over, Dennis. The writer's here. It's
semi. No, don't worry.
Semi.
Yeah, Semi-Tough. I love that book. Amazing. You know what? I read that at the same time as I read Gent's book, North Dallas 40.
Yeah,
both great books about football. Kind of debunked the thing, though. Do you feel like you guys are the Jim Boutons of football?
No, I was backstage with where sports is real.
Yeah.
And I've been back there all my life. Press boxes, locker rooms, all that stuff. Which, by the way, nobody likes to be in, even men. They laugh about women going in the locker rooms. Men don't want to be in there. I've never been in a locker room in my life that didn't smell like Baghdad or something. Nobody goes in there by choice. You're going because you have to.
I know. I don't know why women sports writers want to go in there.
They have to. They don't want to. Yeah. They have to. You know.
Yeah, I think they'll make their greatest strides when they realize there are some things they shouldn't want to be involved in. You know, one of them, the male locker room. What a grim place. But
did you get a good nap during the Super Bowl?
Oh man, brutal game. Why is it brutal? Why is the AFC lost 9 out of the last 10? What's
I don't know.
The deal?
There's been 26 Super Bowls and a total of 5 good ones, and that was not one of the good ones yesterday. I have a theory that it's there's that 2-week period. One team always loses an edge, and even when San Francisco won 4 of them, 2 of them, Cincinnati lost an edge. They didn't play well. I've covered about 15 of them, and
now how do you avoid the other 11 as a sports writer? I can't believe you've only been to 15. What?
Well, I watched a lot of them on television.
Well, as long as you're there, getting your teeth down on the bone of the story.
All Super Bowls should be in New Orleans or Miami.
That's what they say.
For sports writers, because it's a terrible game, and you can drink later in those towns.
Minneapolis, man. You get that frozen daiquiri up in Minneapolis, even if you don't order it frozen.
I knew this was going to be a bad game because there were no good pregame quotes from any of the players. The highlight of the whole pregame week was Bruce Clark said he wanted to be traded. Then the game started, and everybody from Buffalo looked like they wanted to be traded.
Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith.
Bruce Clark, former Penn State interior lineman, moved on to the New Orleans Saints.
That's right.
Just showing off a little. Now, what you really led that sports writer's life hard, didn't you? When you were back in New York, you guys hang out in the lanes, P.J. Clark's, that whole thing.
On the expense account, yeah. We hit it hard. It's part of the deal.
That's where you got all the stuff for Semi-Tough, I would suppose. You sort of led that lifestyle.
See, I always liked athletes who would hang out with you. You know, you can't get a quote from a guy in the locker room. You got to take him to a saloon and let him relax, and you got to know what not to write. If I wrote everything I knew about every athlete I'd ever hung out with, I wouldn't have won any Pulitzers, but I would have caused a lot of divorces. Yeah. And it just wasn't worth it.
Well, you know, our society encourages these guys to just be rampant out there, doesn't it? They're like Greek gods, athletes. Do you think it's right, or do you think they should be notched back?
They don't play by my rules anymore.
No.
Can I tell you my favorite pro football moment?
I insist.
I hope not. Many years ago, I'm covering a Dallas Cowboy-Washington Redskin game in D.C. Night before the game, we're in Georgetown at a party.
Yeah.
Brimming over with steward-eye, as they say.
So is it Teddy Kennedy's.
And lo and behold, 2 of the guys that were there, and they don't mind me saying this, were Sonny Jurgensen and Don Meredith. And we all saw daylight, and about 6 hours later, Sonny threw 5 touchdown passes, and Meredith threw 4, and I got a story written. Those are guys who could play by my rules.
Yeah, they could just do it.
The real heroes.
Yeah, well, Sonny, man, he could throw it, couldn't he?
And
he could
lift it.
Yeah, that's where he got the arm. Now, what's the new book about? You Got to Play Hurt. Is it somewhat autobiographical? Sounds like it's about that.
Yeah, it's a year in the life of a sports writer who gets into a lot of trouble. It's another romantic comedy, and he goes to all the big sports events and trashes them.
Yeah. You covered golf for a long time. That's my favorite sport. I mean, I just like the rhythms of golf. I'm a horrible golfer. I mean, really, I should not be let out. I golf like the robot from Lost in Space. But I do love watching it. I find it so relaxing. And I got to ask you, you saw Hogan play early on, didn't you?
Indeed.
Was he the best, you think?
As far as I'm concerned, he was. But, of course, we're both from Fort Worth, Texas originally. So I covered everything he ever won. Thank you. Yeah, he was the best shot maker. Jack Nicklaus was the best winner, but Ben was the best shot maker.
You know, he has that little book called The Fundamentals of Golf, and even I read it. It's like a little elements of style. You know, it's like the elements of style of golf. Yeah. And I swear to God, I read that. I always shoot 110. I read it, and I shot a 95. So even he could impart that on me in that short...
Let me give you some advice. The way to really enjoy golf is don't keep score.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Don't keep score and hit a lot of mulligans.
Yeah.
And play from the white tees.
Jerry Mulligan, the alto sax player?
Not him. Cool jazz.
You know why men love golf so much? They get to play. They get to keep their own score. You know, when a guy goes into the woods and you hear like it's like a cyclotron in there. You hear the ball bouncing off trees so much, and you know a man's lying when he comes out and he does that finger count. What are you shooting? Okay, 1. You know you're getting screwed right there. Because everybody knows what they're hitting.
Well, you got to take, see, the reason a lot of guys play golf is they get to stay out of the house. They want to play 6-7 hour rounds. Then they don't have to go to the shopping mall or go home and paint the baseboards.
Yeah, well, it is jam now. You can't help but play a 6 or 7 hour round. Now, your daughter's doing great. She took over your reins at SI, didn't she?
She's got my old job. She's good. She's a lot better than I was at her age. And she and I both agree that she's the best writer in the family.
Yeah. What do you think of the trend in sports writing towards these guys becoming like Junior League Scotty Restons? I used to dig it when people wrote sports, and now everybody, Dave Kindred, all those cats, they seem to want to do these massive exposés. And do you agree with that, or did you like it when it was
No, I don't
simpler?
agree with it, but that's the fault of the sports editor. You know, the editor wants to go out and, you know, Woodward and Bernstein changed everything. Yeah. So everybody wants an exposé, but I always believed in protecting your sources. And like I said, if I wrote everything I knew about everybody, they'd all be divorced, and I'd probably be out of a job.
And you won't tell anybody about earlier today, me and you, before the show. Okay. Thanks for coming on, Dan. I appreciate it. Dan Jenkins, folks.